Hello and welcome. This is going to be a new video series on the RCP page, on the Raspberry Cat Productions page, where I'm going to talk about my experience when it comes to lighting and audio and visual when it comes to setting up and producing comedy shows. I've been doing it for a little bit now. I've set up audio and visuals and lighting for many comedy shows. I practice for most shows that I produce, and I've also been working with some local producers to get them good tapes and footage of their shows as well. And really, like when I've been doing my research, because I look up stuff on YouTube and look for stuff that I can learn from, and there really isn't a ton of content out there from what I can see when it comes to the comedy world and setting up for that. Because the reason why I think that's different is because, as opposed to like concerts or sermons and churches, what else do people do? Weddings, there's a lot of content for that a lot of really good YouTubers have put out there. But when it comes to comedy, just not a lot of information has been shared. And the reason why I think that's different from those other types of events is because you get the environments that come with comedy are usually harder to shoot in. That's one thing. I can write that down. Reasons. The lighting. So the lighting is going to be a lot darker when it comes to the show. Most shows are in a dark, dimly lit room, so you got to consider that. Audio wise, it's very simple when it comes down to it, that you don't have a bunch of performers or a bunch of people talking. It's just one microphone and one person. But the range of the sound can go from like very quiet to very loud. So that's important to consider. And miking a comedy room, it comes with its own challenges, and so does lighting it and getting the right shots for it. So I just wanted to talk more about that and share what experience I have. It's also a great opportunity for me to produce some content, and because I want to contribute more to this page, in addition to the podcast that we do that we're going to bring back soon, hopefully. But yes, so if you like this stuff, if you want to learn more about or have questions about when it comes to setting up and shooting a comedy show, go ahead and subscribe, leave a comment, that kind of thing. I got bigger projects coming up that I really want to, build an audience for. So it would really mean a lot to me if you supported that. Excuse me. Also, a lot of those videos, on YouTube. Another reason I wanted to do this is because I consider myself kind of the middle of the road when it comes to, my experience and my skills in the photography and videography field. And comedy is very niche. Like I just don't have a ton of experience when it comes to weddings and other events. I have some experience in those things, but just not a lot. So comedy is very niche, and a lot of the videos that come from YouTubers are like catering to either the newest of beginners, or these guys have like the craziest rigs, the craziest, like most expensive gear, and they've been doing it for a long time. They're like, oh, I'm like it'll be like a 24-year-old who's been shooting weddings for 10 years. And, he's got a gimbal, he's got like all this Canon equipment, or it's like, here's what ISO is, and here's what aperture is, and that kind of thing. So I'm kind of right in the middle, and I feel like there's a lot more people who are in the middle who just kind of are new to things but have some experience. So I want to cater to those people who you may already have some knowledge and information on cameras and equipment, and I'm just going to give you what I got to offer, and maybe we can sharpen each other and work off of what we got. So those are the reasons why, and why I think I'm qualified to talk about it. I've been doing it for about 3 years now, as far as the audio and video go. And I've just been doing more and more client work and working with local producers, and each room is different. And so I thought it'd be fun to talk about how I set up different rooms and just how I go about that, what my process is for that. Yeah, but let's start off with some gear, a gear haul of just everything that I bring to the show when it's time to go. I don't have, this is another thing. Like when I see gear hauls, like guys got like, huge cases full of equipment, like so much stuff, and I'm still figuring it out, like every show I learn something new, and every show I think like, oh, maybe I could add this small piece of gear that could really improve this one piece of the show. Like, oh, the lighting would be great if I had this, or if the audio would be better if I had this, and I'm just kind of chipping away at it, and I'm like, all right, I can buy one thing here, one thing there, and just slowly upgrading my kit until I have a very reliable set of tools for any environment. So right now, let's start with video. Right now I'm shooting on a Blackmagic Pocket 4K cinema camera. I'm using a Meike lens. It's a 16 millimeter cinema lens. I got a Field World monitor up there. That's helpful to have, especially if you want to get a very crystal clear view of what your lens is capturing, as far as depth of field goes and stuff like that. You want to make sure you're in focus. So it's nice to have a little bit of a bigger screen. Lighting wise, we got the newer RGB 168 panel lights on me right now, and I bring those to shoots if the show requires lighting, and they're on looks like Cobra monopod bases. So it's a big circle base and one monopod coming out of it. And the reason I like those is because they're super compact, and the tripods tend to get in the way, and they're really clunky. They're lightweight, but they're not super reliable. Like, you got to throw a sandbag on them. The legs stick out really far. And if you're in a lot of comedy shows, you're in a really tight space, and you can't really afford to have anybody be tripping over your lights. So I really like these lights because you can control them with an app, which I don't use very much. I usually just kind of set them on the back of the panel, which is also really easy to do. They can do color. They can do bi-color lights as well, just cool to warm. So they're very, very convenient. They pack a punch. They can get super, super bright. Right now they're at about 60% right now. So you can really crank them up if you need to. I also use if I have it, I'll bring it out. So this is my main light that I use for a spotlight. This is the newer FS150B, very affordable light, very compact, not super heavy. There's no way to power it unless you use the cord, which is inconvenient sometimes. So, and it comes with a Bowens mount. So I use this mainly for photography, but if one of the producers, if it makes sense to have it with me, then if you need to get light from super far away, then it's nice I'll bring this little metal snoot that I put on it that concentrates the light. I only have the metal one though that just clips on there, but that's another piece of upgraded gear that I want to get, would be the magnifying snoot that really makes a sharp, crisp spotlight on somebody, and I can be in the back of the room and hit them with a really bright light, and it makes it brighter too. And it's nice, and you can make it soft or you can make it nice and crisp in a circle around it. But they cost like $200. So that's kind of low on the priority list right now. I would also get a smaller light than that. It's like I forget what it's called. It's like a newer, it's like a 60B or something like that. It's like really small, and it's battery operated. So for comedy shows, like these lights can also be operated with batteries. So I could just buy the batteries for that. But ideally that's what I would have, is like battery operated lights. And the problem with that is making sure that they're charged, because those batteries are really thick and they take a long time to charge. So if you run out of power in the middle of the show, then that sucks. So I prefer just to reliably be able to plug it in somewhere. So if you have an outlet, definitely use it. Definitely bring an extension cord and gaff tape to tape down. You got to tape down the cord if people are going to be walking near it, because you don't want people tripping over your cord. Okay, let me adjust my angle real quick, because this gosh dang thing, I want to get that in there. Okay, and audio is still coming through. So that is some lights. That's the camera, the Blackmagic camera. So I was using the Lumix G Micro Four Thirds lenses for a little bit. Not great aperture on there. Aperture is huge when it comes to the Blackmagic. So I bought the 60mm Makey lens for about $220, I think, and that opens up to a 2.2. But it's a really wide lens, so it's great for. I knew it would be great for podcasting, but if you're far away, you don't want to punch in too far, or else it gets kind of grainy and loses its quality. But I also got a. Let me grab it. I'm going to be getting up a lot, but that's okay. That's the magic of editing, baby. That's the magic of editing. Maybe you don't want to come hang out, be in the shot. You don't want to be in the shot. Scratchy, 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 scratchy. Little stinker. All right. So this is my other lens that I've used it once so far for a comedy show. It's a 7 Artisans 35mm f. What do we got here? f1.4. So the aperture opens up super, super wide, which gives you a very shallow depth of field. So that's great if you're doing a tight shot and you want to just focus in on your subject and get nice background blur. But it's also great if you want to close that aperture a little bit and get more stuff in focus. And the 35mm lens, I use this in a really big room, but I just put the camera right in the middle of the room, which I thought would be a problem. This is a common misconception, is that when you're setting up for the show, you want to, it's like, oh, I need to be in the spot where I'm not in the way of anybody. And it's like, that's not necessarily true. You can take up some space and you can get in the way a little bit, but you just got to block off your area and make sure that people can still get around you if they have to. So set up where the best shot is and then make yourself as small as possible. So that's what I did for this. And so it worked really, really well. It was like $70 for this little guy. $70. And I was nervous that maybe the quality wasn't going to be there and it was going to be shitty and have like vignetting or something, but it worked really well. And I just set the Blackmagic to extended video, didn't do any color grading. Quality was really good. So that's that. The other camera I have is this guy right here. I'm not using it for this video yet, so I can take it down. This is my workhorse, baby. This is the Lumix S5. I got this in a bundle with the kit lens, the 20-60mm kit lens, which has a, it's an f3.5 to 5.6. So, which is not bad. This has really been useful if I need to have a wider lens, but I want a little bit of adjustment on it. This works really great if you just, you're not trying to get anything cinematic. You're not trying to, it's okay if it's not a 2.8 and it's like really the 2.8, like on the Blackmagic, like the really shallow depth of field, that's great. If you can get it as low as you can, great. But it's only useful if you have autofocus, because the autofocus will, and I'll talk about that more with my other lens, but with this, it's just like, all right, I'm in a really tight area and I need to get a wide, maybe there's a big area for like the performers, so they might walk around. This is great if you're in a tight spot and you need to get a wide range. This will get the job done, The Blackmagic, like when I was using the cinema lens in a smaller room recently. If it's too far away and you try to open the aperture up to 2.2 all the way, you get more light in, but then it's hard to tell if they're super in focus or not. And sometimes, I guess that's the only disadvantage to this lens, is that like the aperture ring sometimes slips and it moves on its own. So it's a little bit cheaper of a lens, but it'll get the job done. It can record for an hour and a half. It's just better if you can have autofocus. That's it. So yeah, would I like to have a 24 to 70 millimeter 2.8? Yeah, I would. But I don't. So this is the kit lens that came with it. Works for a lot of things. I'm just saying, like, I got this used and it came with the kit lens and it came with an 80 millimeter prime lens, which I use for portraits, and it's amazing. It's like a 1.8. Yeah, it's like a 1.8 f-stop. So it gets like crazy good, crystal clear focus. I use that for portraits mainly when I have more of a controlled environment. The lens that I bought for this, and the reason why this is so good is because it's cheap. It's not cheap. It's like, I got it for the kit for like $1,200. So it's a full frame sensor. Okay, so it lets the maximum amount of light hit the sensor possible. So even if you have a 3.5 millimeter f-stop like this one, it'll still let a ton of light in, performs really well in low light, as opposed to an ASPC sensor or a Micro Four Thirds sensor, which is what the Blackmagic is. It's great it's a hybrid camera, so it's great for photos, it's great for video. It has an unlimited recording time, doesn't overheat. What else can I say about it? I mean, it's great. The autofocus is really great. I love it. It's a great camera. Sometimes the shutter can be a little bit slow, or the focus breathing can be a little bit slow. But if you're there, if you can tap the screen and just make sure you can hold your subject in focus. If you got a good shot, then you don't have to worry about it. But if if people are walking in front of the camera or something, or like, if you're ever worried for any reason that's why you try to get it in the middle of the room, get it up as high as you can. But yeah, if you can as long as you're there to tap the screen, then it'll correct the focus pretty well. Yeah, so the reason I share stuff like this is because a lot of people will ask me, or ask online, those posts on Facebook or whatever, like, hey, I'm looking to start getting into videography. What do you guys recommend? What should I use? And really, there is no right answer. The answer is, what's your budget and what's your experience level? Because the Blackmagic, I got it when I was not ready for it. And so like, it was gifted to me by another comic. So, I didn't do any research. I didn't know anything about it. I just was handed the camera, and I've just been messing with it, and I was using it periodically because I didn't know how to use it quite well yet. And then now I feel like I have a better grasp. I still don't understand everything about it, but I feel like I understand how to use it better than before. This camera was my second camera, and it took me, I'm still learning stuff about this one too, but I made plenty of mistakes with it, but it's advanced enough that it suits my needs, and I know what I can get a lot out of it, but it's beginner friendly enough that it's like, all right, I understand what these knobs do and stuff. And it's not like a robot that I don't know how to use. So yeah, that's the answer really. If you're looking to buy gear for the first time, just like find one that's in your budget. And I'll talk about that for my first camera, which is the Nikon Z50. This was my first camera. The body and the kit lens, which I won't pull out right now, but the kit lens is a real small guy. It's an 18 millimeter to 50 millimeter, and it's probably the same f-stop as this, like a 3.5 to 5. I used that kit lens and this body for a year before I bought this lens, and it suited me just fine. Like, the picture quality wasn't where I wanted it to, like, I didn't know any better. You know, I was just getting the best pictures that I could. The disadvantage with that small kit lens was that, like, it was just hard if you were to not even, like, 50 millimeters is not a lot. So, and it's not like it's a huge, the advantage with the aperture is that when you have a lower f-stop, then you can get a better, you can zoom in, like you can crop it in and your picture will still be in focus. With the small kit lens, it's real itty bitty. So like when you zoom in, like you have to be up close to get a good picture, or just get a really good wide shot, which is fine. But in a lot of comedy situations, talking about photos now, but in a lot of comedy situations, you want to be able to get up real close. So then I got this guy. It's a f4.5 to 6.3. However, if you can zoom in far enough, and if the lighting is good enough, then you can get really, really good quality out of this. This 50 to 250 millimeters works really, really well. And I use this camera whenever I'm traveling. It's really small, fits in a thing really well. So just a quick comparison here. So like the lens is a little bit, like the body is smaller, but the lens is a little bit longer than this guy. Or they're about the same weight. But this lens, just like, first of all, I don't want to risk traveling with this because I don't want to risk anything happening to it. I've already dropped this once and had to fix the shutter, but they did, and it works now. But this is just great for traveling. So if I can set up the camera in the back of the room, zoom all the way in, set the autofocus, it's going to work just fine. I use this mostly just to tape myself so I can watch back my tapes, and you can put a shotgun mic on the cold shoe, you know, and it works just fine. But this was my first camera. I didn't know, all I knew was that I wanted a camera and I wanted to get started. And so I went into Best Buy, I signed up for their credit card plan, I got a new computer, and I was just looking at cameras and I was like, what should I get? This was one of the best deals, and I just wanted my first camera. And the guy explained to me that it was mirrorless, which is the future, and it was moving away from DSLR. So they had a bunch of DSLR cameras out there, which I still don't completely know what a DSLR is. All I know is that it uses mirrors, and the focus is really difficult to use. And there's a lot more computers and stuff in it that make it produce the image. And like the autofocus would just take too long. Mirrorless is straight from the lens to the sensor and no mirrors involved. So this guy, like, you know, I hold the focus button, it'll focus on their eye, and then I just just let it rip. It's not super advanced, but it gets the job done really well. So that's as far as starting out, just show up to Best Buy, and I paid off that credit card eventually, but I knew that I wanted to invest in something, and I knew that if I could just pay for it in installments, then it would work out. It would be fine. And it paid off. So I used this guy for about 2 years before I invested in the Lumix. So you just got to make the leap. You know, you just got to pick one that's in your budget, and, you know, do a little bit of research on like the sensor size. So if I would have done it differently, I would have waited and saved up for a bigger sensor, because this is a cropped. It's an ASP-C sensor, I think. Something like that. Also, there's not a ton of great lenses for the Lumix Z50. So I only have this one in the kit lens. Lumix. Hold on, let me take a sip here. I'm all over the place. I'm new to this kind of content, so just bear with me. I'll get better at it. And this video might take longer than I thought. Lumix. Then I invested in this beefy boy. I opened this on the pod once. This is an f2.8 70 to 200 millimeter. It's freaking sick. It's awesome. It really rips for photos and for video. If you got a little bit more distance in your venue, this is what I would go with. The autofocus is crazy. The amount of light that gets let in is crazy. The detail is crazy. I could just adjust my exposure wheel on the Lumix, put it down underexpose. I always underexpose my shots a little bit with the exposure wheel. Set it on autofocus. You know, I could go manual, I could shoot and log, but why? What's the point? Like, trying to minimize. I'm not creating a movie here. I'm trying to pump out tapes for comedians to use on their Instagram. You know, so it's more about saving me the workload and the trouble, than being like a true photographer or whatever. Like, yeah, shoot in manual if it works, if it makes sense for you and makes sense and you're good at it. But me, or at least, there's just too many variables and too many things change for me to shoot in manual and to trust it. Like, because you can't set it and forget it. With autofocus, I look at the monitor and I look at the LCD screen and I know exactly what I'm getting. So really the tricky part. So like once you get the right gear for visuals, like really it just comes down to the audio that takes some fine tuning and takes some practice and expertise. So another thing, Lumix, I got a cage for it. Cage, I've kind of rigged up a little bit here. I put a V-mount on the bottom. If I'm really going all out, you can put a V-mount plate on the bottom to hold your V-mount battery, which I have right here. Definitely going to want one of these because the Lumix battery, I will say, one battery will last like 2 hours or more than 2 hours. If I'm shooting in 1080p, 8-bit, this guy will, one battery, film an entire show. But if I'm worried about the battery, have this fully charged, it'll film like two or three shows. Top handle, don't really need it that much other than to mount the monitor, which I have on the Blackmagic right now. And then I put a side handle right here. And these are for microphones. I can put a little Handycam Zoom H1 on there, which is this guy, if I want to. Just as like a backup mic. And you can also put a shotgun mic right on there. So it'll point out like that. These are little cord holders so your cords don't get all messy. Really, really useful if you're walking around with it, if you're handheld, or if you're trying to mount multiple microphones or monitors. Definitely recommend that. I also have a cage on the Blackmagic that I just keep on there. It's pretty minimalist cage, so I just keep the top handle off, and it's just great if I need to throw a microphone on the Blackmagic, or like what do you call it? The SSD external hard drive holder. Because right now I'm using a CFast card in the Blackmagic, but I would like to use an SSD for the external storage. All right, also for lighting, let's just show this real quick. This is my new toy. It's a light tube. It's sick, bro. It's so sick. Just got this today. It's a inflatable light tube, and stuff like these, and it's magnetic. Stuff like these and stuff like, so this was more expensive. These light tubes, I wanted to get a newer brand. There's cheaper models, but I wanted to get this one just because I knew it would be sturdy and it would last a long time. So I would definitely recommend getting these. These are great for if you just need a little bit of extra light. You can snap these on anywhere. I also have, here, let me put this back first. Let me put it back. However it mounts on there. Okay, that'll work. So yeah, that is going to be a huge game changer for specific shows that I do. Also, you can get one of these. This is another light tube, and it changes colors. I like to use these just to add a little bit of color to the background of a show, because a lot of venues are just a blank background, and having this just on the floor or like behind, like, you know, whatever the bar has for decorum, stick it back there. It'll add a nice hue to your video, add some color, you know. These are like 30, 40 bucks for like just a tube like this. They're plastic, they're cheap, you know, they're not crazy bright and advanced like the newer inflatable tube is, but If you're just trying to add a little extra light, the battery also lasts for an entire show if you turn the brightness down to about 70 or 50%. So those are great. And it's got a little 1/4-inch thread on the bottom, so you can mount it with a clamp or a tripod, whatever you need. Let's try to cruise through a little bit faster here, because I know this is already, adding up here. What else can I talk about? Audio. All right, let's get into the audio. So right now I'm using a toolkit. I'm using a toolbox, tool chest from work that I found, and it was just dirty and dusty, and I was like, but this could be perfect for all my knickknacks and stuff. So this is my tray that pops out of the toolbox. Very, very convenient. I highly recommend, if you don't have the budget for, which I don't, I really want to get one of those Pelican cases or something like it, where it's just a nice hard shell case about the size of this table. Open it up and it's just got all kinds of compartments. I would be able to fit so much shit in there. But this is what I found for free, and it works pretty well for the time being. So this just allows me to see every little piece and part that I have that I could possibly need. So I'm really into buying like small little mounts like this. This is a double cold shoe mount. So if you had where do I have? So if you had 2 different things that had a cold shoe adapter, so like this is for this is a shock mount for an XLR mic, right? So this has got a cold shoe on it, and I could just stick it in there. I got this not that long ago. And then this has a 1/4-inch thread. So you put that on a tripod, put that on a clamp or something, and then I can have 2 different microphones going in 2 different directions mounted from the same place. Stuff like that is like really, really useful to have on hand, and just because then you want to be able to experiment. You want to be able to have options when you get to your site. Another tool, some tools that I use, these are just little, they came with the lights typically. So that way you can mount this to a tripod. It's a little guy, it's just a little guy. Mount this to a tripod, put your light on it, or put your monitor on it, put your mic on it, and then you can move it around to whatever angle that you want to have. I have been using these. Also this is mostly for a monitor, but it's very useful for if I want to put these guys. These are perfect. These are little square lights, same purpose as the tube lights. Wherever you want extra light, you can put it on top of your camera. You can stick it behind a potted plant or something. You can stick it behind, on a shelf or a painting, and it just adds a nice ambiance. To it like that, right? So that's really great. Love that. So then I'll put these on this little mount, and now I can have a magnet and I can stick it on. Oh, wow, that ran out of battery faster than I thought it was going to. But yeah, so this little mount, little magnet, stick it wherever you want. Stick it on the back of a chair and put the handheld mic on it. Put this microphone anywhere in the room, stick it on this magnet, and it's just a 1/4-inch. It's just a magnet with a 1/4-inch thread on it. So those are great as well. Let me fix, see, this is what I'm talking about. If the light goes out, it's nice to have something like this just on hand, and I can just change it to the color temperature I want, turn it up a little bit. All right, this is the gear in action, folks. Here, let's try this. So I'll just attach this little guy to it. And then I'll grab a tripod from my wall of tripods I have over here. Okay, well, maybe not that tripod, because it's got too much shit on it. We'll grab, oh my, all right, this one really wants to be used. This is like the first lighting tripod that I ever got, and it just fell off the wall. So I'm going to bust it out. I also have a separate bag for all my tripods and all my lighting that is very, very heavy. So I would just recommend bags with wheels if you can, if you can afford them, if you can get your hands on them. All right, so we'll screw this on. All right, and that'll get the job done. And again, like, it's all about just getting the job done in the most efficient way possible. So it's always good to have, like, these lights have saved me multiple times. Multiple times. All right, what else? What else do we got? I invested in these little screw boxes. There's a little box full of screws. And I have another box that's got like all kinds of different mounts and threads and things like that. It comes with things like this. So this is a microphone holder. But then you put, but see how it's inside that the screw hole is bigger than a 1/4-inch thread. So if I wanted to mount this to hold a shotgun mic somewhere in the room, but I can't put a 1/4-inch thread thing through there, I have a little box that has something like this on it that fills that gap, gives me a 1/4-inch thread. Now I can put it on a tripod or put it on a clamp wherever I want. Little tool with Allen heads and wrenches and flathead screwdriver. This is a phone mount to use your phone as a monitor, but I like to use it to hold my recorder, which is the Zoom PodTrack. Yeah, Zoom PodTrack. This is great. It's got 4 XLR ports. This is what I use for my podcast, and this is what I use to capture all of the audio. I would like to get a Zoom, an H1 XLR, so it's got 2 XLR ports. The reason for that is because you typically need audio from the soundboard. Almost every show, you're going to want that audio from the soundboard or from wherever the mic plugs into the board. So it's great to have that on hand because oftentimes wherever the board is not where you want to be set up with your audio. So I like to, so that's what I would, that would optimize, and that would give me, right now the number 1 port doesn't work. So I only have 3. So if I had the H1 XLR, then I would have 2 additional ports. Could I just upgrade to a Zoom H6 and use this to capture the board audio? Yeah, but it's really expensive to get one of those, and I don't really need one right now. In the future, maybe I will, but I just don't have the budget for it. So another time. But anyways, this will hold this, and this will also hold like pretty much anything that, like, this doesn't have a 1/4-inch thread on it. So you have to use this just to hold it. I can stick this on a tripod, and then that way I don't have to set this down on a surface. I can put it wherever I want. It's come in handy a few times, not a whole lot, but it's good enough. So let's see. This is one of my first XLR shotgun mics. It's a Boya, very affordable mic, but it gets the job done. Stick this in the front of your room and point it at the audience, and you'll get really good audio of the audience like laughing and having a good time, which is very key to any comedy show. So you want the audio from the board because that gives you crystal clear mic audio from the comedian. And if it's a really echoey room, and it's really hard to hear the actual words that they're saying from the shotgun mic on the camera, then you're going to want that board audio. Likewise, you don't want to have like only one, you don't want to use just the shotgun mic on your camera or just your camera audio. Some people do, and they get away with it, and I'm envious of them. But like if you're traveling, sure, and you just want to record your set, just use the shotgun mic or the mic from the camera as your audio. But ideally, especially if it's a bigger room, you're going to want another mic pointed at the audience so that you get the laughter coming back at the comedian. Because if you're pointing the mic this way, the same direction that the audience is laughing, then you're not going to get very great audience laughter, and it's going to be echoing. It's going to be bouncing off the back wall and coming to the shotgun mic. So it's just not going to be as good. Speaking of shotgun mics, I just got these bad boys. These are Komika Bluetooth shotgun mics. And these operate the same way as a lapel mic, except they go to the receiver. I use an XLR to 3.5 millimeters. 3.5 millimeter jack plugs into this. The jack plugs, and then it converts into an XLR, which goes into the Zoom. These have been a game changer. I've only used these maybe 2 or 3 times, but already I can tell it's gonna be awesome. So what I've done with these, it comes with a shock mount absorber. It comes with these little mounts to go into the shock absorber so that you can, turn it however you want. And on the bottom, it's got a 5/8 thread. And it comes with adapters so that you can, make the size of your thread smaller, which is sort of inconvenient because, these get loose, they're hard to get out. If you don't have a tool, it's a little bit time consuming if you're trying to set up quickly to get those out. So you can use these. What I like about them is that the varying size, that's annoying, but if you plan ahead, then it's very useful. So the 5/8 thread is what most microphone holders, most microphone stands have a 5/8 inch thread. So if you have a microphone stand, you can pop the mount. Here, I'll just fucking put that on there and install it for you. So if you have a microphone stand, you can pop this guy on there. And if you have a big room, you can just place the mic stand wherever you want, point it at whatever table you want or big group of people that you want. Boom, you got really great room laughter from this microphone. Another tool that I'm trying to figure out how to use is, so I'll take the magnet mounts, put it on there, and I bought these magnetic plates that are meant to go on your dashboard so that you can mount your magnetic phone holder to your dashboard for navigation. But I bought those. It's a little square of metal. Slap it in the venue onto like a wooden wall or something like that. Just a flat surface that it'll stick to. Bow, put that up there. And especially in a small room and you don't have a spot where you can stick a mic stand where it's not going to get in the way, ideally you want to have these up high and you want to have them pointing straight down at the audience so that you're not getting a lot of reverb, you're not getting a lot of echo, you're not getting a lot of the air conditioner or whatever other sounds might be happening. You're just getting a boom mic essentially pointed straight down at the audience. So I did that at my room at Stella's in Greeley. First time we put the magnets on there, it was a circle mount instead of a square plate, circle plate instead of a square plate. So I thought, that'll be perfect. It'll just fit perfectly, these little circle magnets. Stuck it up there. The magnet held really well to the metal plate, but the weight of the mic peeled it off the wall. I've since upgraded to the square pieces, and I'm also going to put some gaff tape on them, and I'm going to hope that holds the microphones a little bit better. Also, we slapped it on there really quickly and just started the show, and they fell off. But now they've been sitting up there for weeks and weeks since I last used them. So hopefully they work better. But you can also just use a magic arm clamp, which I have right here. This is the magic arm. It's a clamp that you can attach to a table or a metal bar or a chair or whatever may be in the room. You can attach this clamp to it. Ugh. And the clamp, what the heck? Oh, these little pieces are sticking out. Well, anyways, the clamp will attach to that, and then you can attach on this 1/4-inch thread. You can attach a microphone, you can attach a light, whatever you need. So you can also use one of these for the shotgun mics. The reason why I have these Bluetooth shotgun mics is because they're crazy portable, And the Boya mic is great, but you have to run a cable all the way to the microphone, which is not ideal if you're in a hurry to set up, or what have you. If you're doing a million different things like this, these are just turn them on, plug it into the receiver, and I can be anywhere in the room and I can still get the audio sound that I want. These Magic Arms are great. Definitely recommend getting a bunch of those. The other disadvantage of these threads is, look at that. This little tiny piece came out when I was unscrewing it. So now you have to catch that and be like, oh shit, lost one of my pieces. And then you have to screw it back in. And I just dropped it. Oh my Lord. And of course, like, they're round, so they roll really, really far underneath the friggin' chair. Wherever the heck it went. Where did it go? And they're tiny. They're tiny, tiny pieces. Oh, I found something else down here that I wasn't looking for. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Gosh, gee whiz. I found my happiness egg that the Matriarchy Comedy gave to me. That's really sweet. Okay, so this thing, also you can't get, so like the flathead that comes with my little small reg thing, it's a real fat square thing, it doesn't fit in here super well. It fits for the 5/8 to the 3/8 thread, but from the 3/8 to the 1/4 inch, it's smaller. So I kind of got to just put pressure on it and twist it in. Just hope for the best. All right. See, let's call that good enough. So I keep these adapters separate because I don't want to lose any of the pieces. And I keep it right there. All right. What's next? Take this thing off. Yeah, so when it comes to audio, I feel like I'm a little kid recording in his room right now. I'm just like, yeah, so guys, anyway, let me show you guys all my cool stuff. That's literally how I feel. So I like to put things in bags. I have these little tiny bags that I put everything in. And these are just really great for keeping things organized. So in here I got short XLR cables and the XLR to 3.5 millimeters. So I'd love to just always have a bunch of XLR on hand. Also for comedy shows, like, I like to have multiple sources of audio. So I got handheld mic, I got the shotgun mics, and then lastly, this is like a Comica, I don't know, it's their most basic shotgun mic. I got this to put on the camera. So that's just a standard, just your basic audio right there. That's just audio 101 right there. I always keep an extra microphone on hand because sometimes the venue's microphone is shitty and you want to just have a good one that doesn't have a switch and isn't gonna fail on you at any point. Lastly, lapel mics. These are the Rode Go 2. I don't like them for putting on the lapel of the Performer because they're bulky and I just don't like them as much. You know, they're fine, but I just don't like how they're square and big and round, big and square, big and round, whatever. They're just not my favorite. So what I like to do, what I've done once that I'm probably going to continue to do, is put them on this cold shoe mount, this dual cold shoe mount. And then from there, look at that. Now I got dual omnidirectional microphones pointed at the audience. Oh wait, that's the receiver. Duh. So now I have two omnidirectional mics. So they're picking up sound in every direction, 360 degrees, but pointing in two different directions. And then you just put a small, I'm using one right now on this other tube light, put a small tripod like this on it with a little hinge thread. and then set that on the table. And now I got the audio from that entire table, you know, especially if you got like a bunch of big laughers or you got a big group, not even a big group, just a group that's going to be good audience members that are going to, or maybe they're a little bit quieter laughers, you know, but there's like 2 of them or 4 of them, whatever. You want to be able to get that audio. You want to be able to get as much of the audience laughter concentrated as possible. So if you have this on someone's table, you have 2 shotgun mics pointed at 2 different large groups, and then you have, especially if the room is a weird shape, you know, and then you have the shotgun mic on the camera pointed at the comedian, and then you got the audio from the board, and then maybe you put one more, maybe put this up somewhere. If you do all of those things, then not only will you not be reliant on one audio source to get the best audio out of your tapes, but you'll get the fullest, richest sound of, so you'll have the audience, the comedian audio coming straight from the mic. That'll be crystal clear. You bump that up above everything else. That way, every single word that they say can be heard and understood. And then you've got the audience laughter. Put that a little bit lower because it'll spike when they laugh really loud. Put that a little bit lower. Everything should be set low. All of the mics I set a little bit lower than 50% because it's way easier to crank it up in post than it is if it's peaking and it's clipping. It's way easier to do that than to turn it down and to still make it sound good. Yeah, so if you do all of those things, then you'll have just a really rich, full sound, and you'll have multiple options to choose from when choosing the best sounding audio. So yeah, if you do, you know, if you have the right lens, if you have the right lighting, great. The video is pretty good. That's pretty easy to set up. Audio is just a little bit more tricky. A lot of times an air conditioner will kick on, or there's a TV in the back that's making sound, or somebody starts talking. You're going to want to have multiple sources of audio to choose from. So that's what I use for, that's pretty much all my audio stuff. On the docket, I don't really have much more that, other than another recorder that I need for audio. Lapel mics, where did I put that? Lapel mics, I'm using the small rig right now. You can barely see it, but it's just a tiny little, clip. And so far I haven't used these a ton, but if you need to, if it's hard to get the audio from the board or something, but you still just want to get the vocal audio from the comic, I recommend these ones because they're very, very small. You can hardly even tell that it's there. Even on like a close video like this, it's very unnoticeable. But from far away in a crowd, they're not going to see it. And it's not going to be a distraction from the performance on stage. The reason I like this, I chose the small rig as opposed to like a DJI or a different Rode mic or whatever. All great mics, or a Hollyland. One, they're super small. Can't tell that they're there. They work great. 2, they came with these. Oh, the price was really good too. It's under $100. Most lapel mics are going to be more than that. Also, it comes with these cute little silicone covers, so you can match it to the outfit that you're wearing. So I'm going to stick this on. Apologies if it sounds bad. Gosh dang it. So you can fold that into the mic, put it on, hides it even better. You can barely even see it. Because it almost perfectly matches my hoodie. So I like that a lot. I like that feature a lot. They come with a kit where you don't get the silicone covers. I was like, well, yeah, of course. So like for an extra $10, I was like, yeah, give me the silicone covers. That's like one of the biggest selling points. Also, this is my little bag full of cables. So these are XLR, male XLR to male XLR. This is a splitter. So this is, if you need to get audio from the board or from the mic and you can't, there's no output from the board, you can feed the microphone into one of these cables. And I always forget which one it is. You can feed the microphones into this cable, whatever, it's one of these. feed it into there, boom. And then this one goes to the recorder, and then this one goes to the board, so that the audio simultaneously goes into your recorder and into the speakers at the same time. And then this is if you need to get audio from the board, dude, board guys, little tangent here, but board guys can be so pretentious. They're just like, I'm like, can I get the audio from the board? And they're like, great. Do you have a 1/4-inch pin to a male XLR? And I go, no. And they go, ugh. You know, like they roll their eyes at you like, ugh, guess you're not a professional then. So I've just like learned from over the, like, you just have the cables, and they're super cheap, super inexpensive, and very, very useful to have. So I got 2 different splitters. I got all the different adapters, and then I have a flash drive too, because some boards require a flash drive, and it's super embarrassing if you don't have that on hand. Also, I just got a little brick to charge all my shit. It's got 4 little USB plugs on there. Very useful to have when you're traveling and you need to charge a bunch of shit at once, which often happens with all this shit. You got a bunch of batteries and stuff coming in. I think that's everything. I think that's just about everything. Oh, also having a power bank on hand. This power bank, so the Zoom is battery operated. So I bought rechargeable batteries and a port for them, which has saved me a ton of money. So you can plug this into the wall, but very rarely is that situation going to be available to you in a comedy venue. The power bank, it doesn't take up a ton of battery. So 2 batteries in here will last 1 entire podcast episode or 1 entire show. But if you're unsure of how much power you have, it's great just to have one of these, and I plugged this into the Zoom for a full show. It only used 25% of the power bank. So that comes in handy a lot, and it just is a good reassurance for that. Also, always have backup SD cards. If you learn nothing from this video, have backup SD cards, because this 3 times there's this one particular venue where I pack all my shit. I'm like, all right, I'm all in a frenzy. I'm trying to rush to get out the door. I get to the venue and I don't have a single SD card because I left them all in my other bag at home. So having these just always in my bag, and I open it up and there's an SD card for every single one of my devices, the Lumix, the Nikon, and the audio recorder, is a game changer. Because all 3 of those times that I did that, I had to rush over to Best Buy and buy 3 SD cards in a panic and spend, I'm not even getting paid that much to do the show, and I just spent pretty much my entire budget on SD cards just because I made that mistake. So always have that. Always have, if you're using a V-mount or a Blackmagic or just something that doesn't have great battery, you're going to want one of these. This is a dummy battery that goes to the Lumix, plugs into a D-tap into the V-mount. So just research what cable you'll need for your camera to be able to use it to record. Lastly, what else do I have here? What was I just looking at? Oh, I have a better one, but this is just a little pump. So if you have dust on your monitor, not your monitor, I was just saying it 2 seconds ago, not receiver, sensor. If you have dust on your sensor or dust on your lens, you don't want to blow on it because you'll get condensation in there. You just want to use one of these air pumps to spray, and it will help kind of get rid of some of that dust, because the last thing you want to do is correct that in post. Okay, well, I think that's all of the gear that I use for the most part. Oh yeah, and then I got a C-stand in here to mount the big ass newer F-150 on. That's about it, gang. Thanks. This is all my gear. So if you guys, I'm not going to put links in the description below. You're just going to have to Google that yourself. Just like I did. Do your research, watch a lot of YouTube videos. If you find any of this helpful, let me know. If there's anything else that you think that I could use, let me know. And yeah, I just want to share all this because maybe it'll give you a little bit of insight if you're trying to record your next comedy show, all of this stuff is relatively cheap. Other than the invest in good gear, invest in a good camera, invest in a good recorder. But for the most part, all of this can be easily found, easy access to it, and it'll help you. It'll save you tons of time. Just little tiny things like this can really improve the quality of your show and of your audio and video and lighting quality. So that's all for now. Stay tuned, and I'll talk more about in detail on how to set up for a specific type of room. Thank you so much. Stay stretchy.